the big news of the day yesterday is that the Coyotes sent Dylan Guenther back to the Western Hockey League, where he'll report to the Seattle Thunderbirds and remain with them. He was just a few games away from that 40-game mark, which would put him a year closer to becoming an unrestricted free agent. Craig, can you tell us a little bit more about this decision?
Sure. Equally big news was that I sent a video of Andre Tourigny talking about it to Leah Merrill today, and it looked like I had recorded it while I was underwater. So Leah was like, I'd like to use it, but I wouldn't feel that comfortable putting it up on the site, Greg. Which is why Leah Merrill needs to be at the arena far more often because, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. But what Andre did say, he had some great insights on this. And I talked to Bill about this as well, Bill Armstrong. What Bill really was talking about, and I know everybody thinks this was done solely because he would have accrued an extra year toward arbitration rights and UFA status. Sure, that factors into it. Money always talks in these situations. But with Dylan Guenther right now, there were games since he came back from World Juniors where they felt like he was kind of swimming with his head below water. He didn't look like he was keeping pace with the ramped up play that you're seeing from NHL teams. You'll hear coaches and GMs say this all the time. Games get harder and harder as the season progresses. Well, they didn't feel like Dylan Guenther was always keeping up there. The other part of this is, as they go down the stretch here, theoretically, unlike tonight, the Coyotes could lose a lot of games. And what's Dylan Guenther doing out there? Chasing pucks in a 4-0 loss, a 4-1 loss. They want to put him in a situation where he can compete for something, play on a big stage. Yes, it's a lower level, but there are still things that he can do there. He can get a lot of confidence, for one. And this is a short-term stint for Dylan Guenther. I know there are a lot of people who are like, oh, you can't do this. You'll just mess with players. Well, you know what? It's on the player a little bit to not have it mess with you. Suck it up, buddy. This is your situation now. Make the best of it. Work on some things. Get to the offseason, whatever offseason he's going to have if Seattle goes, deep into the maybe even to the Memorial Cup. But work on your body in the offseason and then come back and prove that you belong in the NHL next season. It's not going to be handed to you. This is not, this is not No Child Left Behind here. This is you earning your way in the NHL. So if this is a tough situation, and Andre said this, it's a nightmare for him. He's not going to be happy about it. Of course he's not going to be happy. He wants to be in the NHL. So prove it next season. Earn it next season. That's what this is about. I know there are a lot of narratives that this ruins development, and we've seen it happen sometimes in the past, but part of this is on the player to have the right attitude and do the right things to be prepared for the NHL.
Yep. Absolutely. So
I
thought you were going to add something.
No, I was going to say, you don't think the Seattle Thunderbirds are staying in Ritz-Carltons and flying private charters? No, probably not. It's going to be, buddy, little rude. You don't think their pregame meals are? No, it's a rude awakening.
At least they got his rights sorted before this happened, though. Yeah. I will say. And Seattle
this wouldn't have happened if he weren't going to a team like Seattle. If he's going back to the Oil Kings, this wouldn't have happened.
And Seattle is a good team in the WHL right now. So
for sure. And to Craig's point, they want to. We talked about this before. You don't want to be what the Edmonton Oilers were when they had all those top draft picks and they learned how to lose. Learning to lose does not help you in the long term. For him to go to a team and play meaningful games in the spring is way more valuable than playing here in a decimated roster after the trade deadline and losing every night. To what end? How does that help his development? Here, he can go play and potentially play playoffs for sure, potentially play in a Memorial Cup, meaningful games, competitive games, and you know what? He can be the guy. He can be the guy. And that's important because ultimately you want Dylan Guenther to be the guy in the NHL. And to be the guy in the NHL, you have to be the guy somewhere else first. You have to know how to be that and how to be the best on your team, the best in the league, leading scorer, all-star. Let him go down there.
Especially in big moments, right, Petey? Especially in big moments. He's not going to get the chance to perform on the big stage here. He's going to get that chance in big moments there. What is going on?
But we don't know.
Sean is.
I just started choking behind the camera.
Yeah. We're just going to have the CPR.
Don't worry about it. Leo was just making sure I wasn't dying.
Okay, you aren't dying, right?
No, he's fine.
I'm back. I made it back.
Show can go on.
I talked to Dylan's agent today, Kevin Epp, as well, and I think they were a little surprised by the timing of it. I thought they thought maybe it would have happened before the All-Star break, or even if he got back, maybe it would be right after that Chicago game when he hit his 39th game on the active roster. But that aside, Ep said that they kind of expected this was coming at some point. So, he said it's going to be a shock for Dylan. He was pissed. He was not happy about
For
it.
sure.
But honestly, you want that. You want it.
For sure.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll go to juniors. You don't want that. But he said, it's going to take him a day or two to adjust. And once he gets into that situation, he'll embrace it. So we'll see what Dylan Guenther can do the rest of the season in a really good situation in the Dub.
Yep. And you know what, Craig? That's okay that he's not happy. That you want them to be. When you send players down to the American League as a general manager and a coaching staff, you don't want the player to go, oh, okay, that's great. When's the next bus? They want to say, F you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to show you made a mistake. Yep. So great. I'm glad he went. And this is a good learning experience for a 19-year-old kid. He's 19. Like, he's going to be okay.
Looking at his game, I want your take on this. When you look at what Dylan did, what are the areas where you said, not quite there yet?
Well, look when Dylan Guenther succeeded, and when he played at his best was on the power play.
Yes.
Well, why? Because he's got more room and he's got more time. This game happens extremely quick. And let's face it, we talked about him being 19. Dylan needs to be stronger. If you are going to want to play in those 5-on-5, big 50-50 battles, down low, underneath the goal line with 28, 30-year-old men, you got to be stronger. And I think that's going to be one of the things that he'll have to work on, getting physically stronger. And that's going to happen just naturally through maturation. But the ability to change directions quickly and those quick strides so you can escape those kind of dangerous situations with your feet, he'll have to learn that too. Because when you give him open ice and you give him the ability to carry the puck and shoot, the kid's money. And you'll see it in junior. Well, he'll have more time and space, but he'll also get to work on that in-tight game that I think is going to need to improve a little bit more. So he's not, I don't want to say deer in the headlights. That's not fair because I don't ever think he looked completely out of place here. But there were games physically where he just needed to either, if you're not stronger, you better be quicker. So one of the two things, and I think that's going to have those opportunities to play down a junior where the game's a little bit slower so it can work on those type of skill moves to make those quick feet plays where he can get some space on his own.
Yeah, that's well said.
And as I think, can you scroll up, Sean, for 1 sec? Ogie said, Guenther, Geeky, Lipkin, and Cooley all playing for Hardware this year.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Yes.
And yeah, Seattle, they have 74 points. They already clinched a playoff spot. And then in the other conference of the WHL, the Winnipeg Ice lead the other conference. That's Connor Geeky squad, and then Logan Cooley on Minnesota.
What you just said there, all of those names together.
That's the future of this team.
And it's kind of exciting.